one of the interesting things about making YouTube videos for a few years is that if you have a tiny bit of success, you start getting a lot of emails and you know, people wanting you to try their product, you know, look at the product, whatever. Most of those emails go straight in the trash, but you know, occasionally somebody will send me something or send me a request to look at something, and I can't refuse because I've always wanted to try it, or because, you know, it's just something I've wanted and just haven't wanted to spend the money on. And this is one of those things. So this is what you call a resin printer. Just took it out of the box and I'm learning about it. I never had one of these types of 3D printers. It's a totally different process than your typical 3D printer that's kind of like a glue gun. It just lays down melted filament in a certain way that forms, you know, a product or a part or whatever. This is the complete opposite. This takes liquid filament, liquid plastic, if you will, and it hardens it using light instead of the other way around. So you're starting with a liquid and turning it into a solid, instead of starting with a solid, turning it into a liquid, then letting it cool back into a solid, if that makes sense. Now, of course, the advantages of this sort of system, if you don't know this, and I'm going to explain how this works in a little bit more detail here in a minute. I'll use some graphics and stuff to explain this, as far as I know how it works. Like I said, I'm new to this, and we're going to discover this together a little bit. So basically, compared to a normal 3D printer that uses filament, you're going to get a much finer resolution model or part. For that reason, a lot of people like these for small, like, game pieces and things like that. I'm not going to be using it for that. That's not my deal. You know that if you know this channel, that's not my deal. I like to make things that are functional, and I'm going to come up with a couple functional things that we can take advantage of the enhanced resolution on this thing to make something like this worthwhile, because it is a little bit more work doing it this way, and you'll see why in a few minutes. So the good folks at Geeetech sent me this. It's their entry-level resin printer that they just released recently, and I think they're priced about $100 at the time of filming, which from what I've seen is a lot cheaper than some of the others out there, especially for its size. The printer is called the Alkaid LCD Light Curing Resin Printer, and I'll put a link below, of course. In full disclosure, you know, they sent me this free to try and review, and they also sent me some resin, which I believe is normally extra, but my opinions are my own. You got your power cord and your power brick there. You got a few things in here, like a spatula and some knobs. I think that's for the resin tray. Those tweezers, adjustment, Allen wrench. And you've got a little USB stick for, it's got your software on it, as well as some models, some practice models, whatever. So we'll remove the lid here, and by the way, this lid is yellow and for a reason. It blocks out UV light from hitting the resin when you don't want it to. Take this piece off, get that out of the way. And you've got your resin tray, and your resin tray is clear on bottom, as you can see. Again, I'll explain that in a minute, why it's that way. Down here we have an LSD. We have an LSD screen. We have an LCD screen. I will go ahead and take the cover off of it. So you may notice here I moved inside. It's just a little bit too hot and humid in the shop today. I plan on doing most of the printing with this machine outside, because honestly, the chemical resin is pretty nasty stuff. It contains some chemicals like toluene and a few other things that I am sure many of those of you watching this will already know that you have to take precautions with. And the shop is just a better place for that sort of thing, when I can have a fan running and get some ventilation, but recording audio can't really do that with the fan running. They do recommend protective gloves, glasses, and even a mask or respirator. I'm going to definitely go with the protective gloves and glasses. You gotta kind of get your hands in this stuff, and especially when you're cleaning it with alcohol, you do not want it to soak into your skin, because then you're absorbing, you know, these chemicals. I got ventilation going when I'm pouring and things like that. This thing together is pretty simple. You know, you just put the resin tank over the LCD screen, secure it with the screws provided, and then you can level the build plate. This is also pretty simple. It's just select the tools icon on the touchscreen, and I like this touchscreen. It has kind of a positive feel when you use it. It's not like a phone touchscreen, but it has a feel like you are pressing a button. I may not like that, but I kind of like it. I'll select the tools icon and then the icon for movement, then the home icon to bring the plate down to its home position. I should mention here that this builds the part upside down from a typical filament printer. So the build plate is the moving plate that is basically situated upside down. Still attached to the build plate at the bottom, but again, it prints upside down. We'll get the build plate down to the home position, and you notice that it was loose before, and I'm gonna hold the plate down against the resin tank and LCD screen, and then we'll tighten the 4 screws, and that'll level it to the screen. I'm just gonna put some gloves on here and add some resin and try a test print that is already on the memory stick that was provided. The first part actually failed, and it printed about 10 millimeters of the part, and then the rest was just kind of gone in the tank. After some research though, I think the problem was the resin they sent is labeled a tough resin, and I don't think that the pre-configured files are meant for this resin. It just wasn't seemed to be getting enough exposure on the bottom layers to make a good base. Part basically wasn't cured enough, so it fell off. After some trial and error with the settings, I did get it to print, and it does print amazingly well. For that, let me just quickly explain how this system works so you'll know what I'm talking about here. And then we can take a look at the results, which are pretty amazing. Like any other 3D printing process, we have to take a 3D model and slice it. With a normal FDM printer or a filament printer, normal slice or layer is around 0.2 millimeters, which is about 200 microns thick for a standard print. 120 microns would be considered a very fine print on a filament printer. Smaller than that, and the limitations of the nozzle size, among other things, they kind of give you diminishing returns and resolution. So it's not really worth printing that small. It just takes more time, basically. This SLA process or resin process, an average slice or layer thickness is 0.05 millimeters, which is 50 microns, and you can actually go smaller from there. So basically you're talking about a starting resolution on this printer that is less than half the thickness or the finest resolution on a filament printer. Each slice then is flashed on the LCD screen. And this is where you kind of see your resolution is determinant on the pixels of the LCD screen. So as each slice gets flashed on the LCD screen, it stays there for a set exposure time. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. I don't think that the pre-configured files were set with enough exposure time. Once I adjusted that, I didn't have any problems. From what I've read, again, finding a good baseline exposure for each resin is pretty common, and it's just like finding the optimum temperature setting for a filament when you're printing on a filament printer. It's really analogous to one another. Each layer is then exposed, and they build up layer by layer to a finished part. The nice thing here is that unlike a filament printer, each layer is printed all at one time. There's many more layers, so actual printing time is about the same depending on your settings. At least that's my experience. Okay, so that's my basic explanation about what this extra resolution gives us. But you get things like this, which is impressive to me, at least. I mean, this is the precision here of these prints that I'm getting are pretty amazing. You look at the railing here on this Eiffel Tower print, it's tiny. Extra resolution means extra precision, which is where I think this machine was going to be useful to me. As an example here, here's another part I printed. It's with some red resin that I bought separately. But some of you may know how this is used to find center hole distances from an edge, or if you have two sharp points, you can use it to find center hole to hole distance. You could print this part on a filament printer, but because of the extra resolution, you have a much more precise tool that is much more useful for the purpose. Filament printers, you're always going to have a little bit here or there. It's either going to be a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger than what you intended, just because of the way the resin melts and then solidifies back. There's always a little bit of shrinkage or expansion. So here's a couple more fun things that I also printed. Here's a little Grogu. It's not Yoda, it's Grogu. It's Baby Yoda, as some people call him.
The detail on this model is it just blows me away. It really does. And even more so is the detail on this pie cup. This is sort of like a pencil cup that is made out of the number pi. And as you can see, it's many digits. I didn't count, but there are many digits here. But each one is perfectly legible. There's no stringing. There's nothing in it. I mean, it basically came out of the tank like this. And that's pretty amazing. I will be doing a few more videos on this printer, as I really am now just getting to the point that I understand how it works and how the settings work together, and just how to make it work more efficiently, to print a little bit faster. You know, it's that way with any of these 3D printers. You kind of got a learning curve with them. And, you know, like I said, this is just really an introductory video to this. So I'll be going into some other more detailed stuff like cleaning the parts and the secondary curing process, which is really just a matter of exposing the finished print to sunlight or, you know, any other UV light source. I'll also talk about some minor modifications that I made already that I think would really make this machine unbeatable at its price point. Just to end this video, let me just say that if you're thinking of getting one of these, this Geeetech is a great starting point. But also understand that the learning curve on these things is pretty steep here at first, especially if you've never done any resin printing. You're going to have a little bit of a learning curve. I kind of look at this machine like I would an Ender style 3D printer. They have incredible potential right out of the box, but there are going to be a couple small things that you're going to want to mod if you want to get the most out of it. And take a look at that and some more prints in the next video. And as always, guys, I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed this and got something out of it. Hit the link below if you want to check one of these out. For that price point, I can't see how you'd go wrong. I mean, you know, you gotta learn how to use it, but you gotta learn how to use everything. See you next time, guys.